My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Welcome to the podcast and to this special series we're doing called Parenting Without Burnout. Hopefully you've enjoyed the other two videos. If you haven't checked them out, please do. They kind of build on each other. You can jump in here, but I do recommend going back and checking out those other two. These are just some tips and tricks that I myself have used to bypass burnout to create a life with a lot more ease. I'm a single mama and full-time, so I don't have week on, week off. I always have my oldest kiddo here who is on the spectrum. He has autism and ADHD. I also homeschool. I run a business. I, still have a social life and friends and family that I care for. And I've had burnout. Like I've definitely reached that place of burnout. And then I've found using the tools of access consciousness, a lot of ways to bypass burnout. And I don't want to use the word avoid, right? Because anything that you're avoiding, you are kind of setting up blocks to and unawareness to, and it has power over you. Like you've essentially given it the power to burn you out. So we're not avoiding burnout. We are parenting without burnout. So we talked a lot about just kind of really acknowledging what's true for you. We've talked about building a team and not doing it all alone. In this segment of the podcast, I would love for us to talk about flows and systems. So we're going from Havoc, which can create that burnout, to flows, creating systems that work for you, that work for your family. So for a minute, what do I mean by Havoc? In access consciousness, we talk about chaos as this creative, generative energy that really expands things. Most people, when they talk about chaos, they're talking about destruction. That's more of the energy of havoc. So havoc is a destructive energy. It can destroy things, including your sanity, your energy, and all of the above. And often I find when people are getting to that burnout space is because they're trying to control the havoc, or they're trying to be faster than the havoc. They're almost like behind already. Like you're behind and you're trying to catch up, or you're trying to control. I picture like, there's a dam and there's a hole in it and you stuck your finger in it, but then another one opens up and you're trying to stop everything from just falling apart. Oh my gosh. That's the havoc energy we're talking about. And that can really often lead to burnout, whether you have a partner or don't have a partner. A lot of us juggle a lot of things. We don't live in a very simple kind of life anymore. We have a lot of complexities and a lot of demands that we put on ourselves or others put on us. More of the demands in the first video. So please, if you haven't, check that one out, or maybe have a re-listen if you require it. But flows and systems was a huge key for me in having really like all of life come to me with ease and joy and glory. What flows and systems are going to work for you? That's something you're going to have to discover. I'll share a little bit today. We'll play with it, but it's not a plug and play. So what works for me would not necessarily work for you and your family at all. And so the adventure is kind of discovering what works for you. Trial and error is usually the easiest way. Even if something sounds bizarre, but there's some lightness to it, I really recommend that you try it out. I've tried things that I thought this is probably never going to work, and it really did contribute to my household. So, flows and systems. A system is um, something really flexible and changeable. So, people like their routines, or they'll make something really structured in their lives. That can lead to distraction. That can lead to limitation and people feeling kind of trapped. Um, now, I'm not saying go throughout all your routines or all the things that are working for you. Some routines are based off of systems, but you just don't know it. And some systems are based off, or some routines are based off of structures, and you might not know that either. So, how do you tell the difference? A structure is not easily changeable. So if one element is off, it kind of throws off the whole thing. So if you like have a Monday morning routine and if you miss that, if you miss it or it happens a little bit later than normal, does it throw off your whole week? Then you're probably working with a structure. If you have a lot of flexibility and the system is malleable and moves with you, then you have a system. So if you prefer Monday morning, maybe you have your coffee or your tea and you go over the week. I love to do calendaring. I write it out because it helps me kind of visualize my week. So that's one of my Monday morning routines. Well, this morning I had an early morning call and I had to do all this stuff. So I didn't get to write out any of my stuff until like afternoon. But because it's a system that supports me, it didn't throw me off. It wasn't like I was stressing about it or thinking about it, or couldn't go through the day. It was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll get to it tomorrow. And there's been times where I haven't gotten to it till Wednesday, but it's such a support for me. So that's one of my flows. Organization is so helpful. And if you're kind of behind, like behind the wheel, not behind the wheel, like there's a saying, I can't think of it right now, but you're like you feel behind the clock, like you're trying to play catch up or stuff like that. You might have this point of view of like, I don't have time to organize because organization actually requires space and presence. And if we're feeling frantic and we're in that havoc or that survival mode, I totally get it. It seems impossible. I don't have time to sit there and write a list. I just need to do the stuff on the list, right? What if you just tried to do it anyways? If you let some stuff fall apart while you're in the organization and setting up the systems, it's going to support you greater than if you just keep going. Because if you just keep going, you're going to lose time and productivity anyways when you hit that burnout place and you're sick or you're laid out or you threw your back out and you can't do anything. This way, you could at least choose to move into the organization and flows, choose to do it anyways. And if you could only do 20 minutes a day, do 20 minutes a day. But start to get a sense of like, what would you like your life to look like? So what would you like your week to look like? What would you like your work days to look like and your weekends to look like? Not from defining, but from a sense of the energy. So when I sat down and I looked at it and I was like, okay, so I'm aware I'm homeschooling and my kiddos' homeschool is so incredible and it's so flexible. I could really, other than one day a week, I can decide the whole schedule. Like I can play with exactly what we're going to do and when we're going to do it, which is so awesome. So I looked at that and I was like, okay, so what's going to work for my kiddo? He requires a lot of space. So if I do a certain amount of time these certain days, but then give him an extended weekend. Okay, and that just was like oh, so much space for him, and it created a lot of space for me. So I kind of started with the things that have some sort of schedule that I can't control, like the one thing a week that my kiddo has to attend. Okay, so that's where I started. You can start where you need to, but it might be helpful to start with the place of, okay, if you have a work day, you work 9 to 5, that's going to be part of your system, right? Because that is the set out, that's the structure of the company that you work for. And we have to work with structures too. So, but you're creating a system, not a structure. So you have these things, and you look at them. And then I was like, well, how many days a week would I like to be working? How many days a week would I like to be going out and exercising or going out and being with the earth? And again, not from definition because it is so flexible and movable, but it assisted me because what would happen is if I didn't schedule in like going out and being with the earth, I just wouldn't do it because there's always something on your list. If you're a parent, if you're a business owner, if you're a person, if you're living in the world, there's probably a never-ending list that you have. Or you have someone doing that list for you and good on you. But there's always something that the car needs the oil changed, the we need to clean, dinner needs to be made, groceries need to be bought. There's always something, right? And so when I started to kind of play with this in this energetic way, and we're doing energetic, right? Not from the mind. From the mind, you're going to go crazy. You're going to go insane. You want to start getting a sense of what is light to you, what creates a sense of lightness. So if you're like, wow, it's light for me to just go to the grocery store once a month, but I don't know how that would make sense because I need fresh whatever, right? Play with it. Start to ask the universe, okay, universe, I would really like to go to the grocery store just once a month. What else is possible? Maybe you go once a month, but then you do grocery delivery a second time a month, and you're just picking up a few of those fresh vegetable items. There's a lot of different systems you can start to create. And if you're willing to ask for the ease, and you have to be willing to expand out from the havoc, from this like grind energy that you're used to, step into, okay, I'm choosing ease. I'm going to create flows and systems that are going to work for me and my family. I personally like going grocery shopping, so I do it on my own. A friend of mine, she does pickup all the time. She just goes on. She already has like the carts very similar to last time. It's streamlined for her. She drives to the front of the grocery store. They load up her car. She loves it. It creates so much ease in her life. That's a flow. Okay, so the ease in your life is a flow in your life. It's this flow that creates ease, and that's her system that works. Now, if she couldn't do it on Friday and she had to do it on Monday, or even she was going out of town for a week, so she needed to, or maybe she's going camping, so she needs different things, so she might want to go into the store, she could still do that because, again, it's a system, it is malleable, it is changeable. Okay, this is like a very big topic I'm realizing as we're talking. So let's just take a deep breath and like lower any walls and barriers that you might have to all this. Maybe you've tried something like this before and it didn't work. Maybe you felt like you couldn't stick to it and you are judging yourself if you're wrong for that. Sticking to it means it's a structure, it's not a system. It should support you. So it's not about sticking to anything like sticking to a workout routine or sticking to whatever it is. It's these are things you put in place that literally support you. So you don't stick to them, they kind of stick to you, right? So you can look at your whole life like it's a business. And this was one of the greatest gifts that I got when I was looking at this topic. And this I received from Access Consciousness, actually a specialty of Access Consciousness called the Joy of Business. And I'm a huge fan of business. I do business courses and stuff all the time. And so I start to look at, so when you go to run a business, people are like, okay, I need the accounting. And they kind of have a sense of these different things depending on the business. And they kind of set up all these systems and how can we automate and what can we automate and just playing with all that, right? Why don't we do that in our life? And then we stumble through our life. But if you looked at your life like a business, it's going to give you a lot more clarity on the things required to create those systems, those flows, those automatic things that are going to make everything easier for you. So look at the whole thing, and you might need to write it out and get like Post-its or like whatever's fun for you. Maybe you like to do it you like to do spreadsheets on the computer. I really love like tangible things. So I've had like a big whiteboard and then put post-its on it. And I'm looking at like, so what are all the different areas? So I have homeschool, right, for my kiddo. I have my other kiddos' school kind of life, activities, kiddos' activities, mom's activities, social life, business life, body. So like all these categories and start to just here's all the categories. And now start to write out what are the things in those categories that need to be handled. Like grocery shopping, cleaning the house. Okay. So now you have this very big comprehensive list. If you feel like you're getting anxious while you're doing this, take some deep breaths, maybe use the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. Everything this is bringing up and lets down, destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good or bad, talk about all 100 shorts, boys, puppets, creations, bases, and beyonds. There we go. And now from here, you can start to go ask the question, what of this could I offload or automate? Okay. So offload means maybe someone else can do it. So for example, my youngest kiddo, I used to pick him up after school. I drive him to school and I used to pick him up. Well, he's a bit older now and the weather got nice and I didn't even ask him. He's like, "Can I walk home?" I'm like, "You just want to walk home?" It's like a 3-minute walk. And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to walk home." I'm like, "Awesome." Offload. So just offloaded a task. That is an extra 20 minutes out of my day. Every day of the week, I have him. Awesome. Okay. What else could I offload? With my business, obviously, I hired people. For you, it could be like maybe you could afford a cleaner. Maybe it might only be once a month. Maybe it's every week. Maybe it's twice a week. Offload. Okay. What else could you offload? Could you pay your kids to do some chores, like to help maintain some certain things? Could you have a chat with other people in the household and be like, hey, would you be willing to take on certain roles? Like maybe you take on the laundry or you take on these different things, right? Now, there might be a learning curve, just like if you're hiring a new employee. So, if you're teaching your kid to do laundry, yes, they might mess up. They might need your help sometimes, but keep going with the system. And as it builds, it will build and build and build and become easier. Okay, so what can you offload? So now you've been offloading. Sometimes the universe will just take care of some stuff for you, which is awesome. And I always invite, because I'm strange and very energetic, I invite everything in my house to take care of itself. I ask my car, can you take care of itself? I ask the house can you keep yourself clean? Can you take care of yourself? Um, I don't have any pets, but if I did, I would ask them to take care of themselves. I ask my kids to take care of themselves and I contribute energy to it, but I'm always in the question of, can you actually take care of yourself? Like, can you participate in all of this that we have going on? Remember that support team. Okay. So now you've offloaded everything you can offload, right? But have you? Did you actually offload everything you can offload? If you went and looked and decided I can't offload anything, you're in conclusion and you're stuck into this structure that you're used to. So all the structures for parenting and running your household and running your life, will you destroy and create them all? Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, 100, shorts, boys, poems, creations, bases, and beyonds. Okay, cool. And I get it, especially if you're a control freak. I get it because I used to try and offload and then guess what? It wouldn't get done, right? It wouldn't get done at all. And these were these really frustrating elements for me. If that's you, then the piece you need to look at is receiving, which we can't go into today, but if you look on my podcast, guaranteed there's going to be some topics on receiving in there. I'm also going to invite you to something else that might contribute to the receiving piece. But if you find that, it's really if you change in here, it's amazing what changes out here. And all of a sudden, people are showing up, and all of a sudden, you're not the only one that gets stuff done. It's actually an energetic thing. And again, if you lived with it your whole life, you might be wanting to argue with me. But trust me, I was you. I was that person. And when I changed it energetically, the amount of people that have shown up and they can even do things greater than I could do is incredible. And are you willing to have people do things greater than you do? Are you willing to be like useless in your home because you have such beautiful systems and flows that you're not even required? If that didn't light you up, clear that. Anything that doesn't allow that, destroy and integrate it, please. Right, wrong, good or bad, POC and POD, all 100 shorts, boys, poets, creations, species, and beyonds. Okay, so you're really going to go back and look at that list again, and what could I offload here? And then what systems can I create? So if you're like, wow, I spend 2 hours grocery shopping per grocery shopping trip. Maybe it does make sense for you to do that pickup grocery because then you're just clicking, it saves what you did last time, and you're streamlining this. Okay. You are creating a system for this that is going to support you and reduce the amount of time you're spending doing things that aren't maybe necessarily generative for you. Sometimes it is. So for me, because I like the grocery shopping, I like to touch the fruits and vegetables. I like to be engaged. It's very generative for me. For others, it's a complete waste of their time. And someone else could do it, and then they could use that time to be generating in another area, whether it's just having time for themselves, taking a bath, um, or spending some one-on-one time with their family, right? Really look at this as priorities and where is your energy most generative and creative. It might not be groceries or it might not be cleaning, and it might be. Don't use your mind, again, use the energy. So, okay, so what systems can you create? So you're looking at these different categories, right? So the homeschool system, the homeschool thing, that's a whole thing. If I was every day going, okay, what are we supposed to do again? And I'm trying to find all the things, then I would be wasting so much time like trying to get organized in the moment or to figure out where I'm at or what's going on. So I created a system. So I have like my Monday morning and I check in with because the school does their bulletin. So I check in with the school bulletin. I make my notes. I have this is the organization piece and you got to look at what works for you. So I open up my notes. I put in the week's thing, all the things that I need to do for the school. And then I start to play from there and kind of get that all organized. So then I have a sense of when that's going on. Um, and on and on and on. Okay. Not everything in my life is timed, scheduled. That's the word I was looking for. So and this isn't about scheduling every moment of your life, but you might need to start there. I had to start there. And once I started to get this flow of, so, my kid's, he does physiotherapy, so I'll batch like book in, and then it'll just ping me because I've asked everything to take care of itself. Oh, I need to book some more appointments in. And then usually he's only has one or two left booked. And I'm surprised that I just tapped into that with my awareness. Other people, you might need to go, okay, at the first of every month, I'm going to do scheduling all the physiotherapy appointments. You got to look at what's going to work for you. Others might need a lot more scheduling, and some of you don't require too much scheduling at all. Play with it, trial and error. Try it without and be like, wow, I didn't actually get anything done. Try it with it. Oh, that worked, but I felt really I had no freedom and space. Okay, you're going to find your little zone. You're going to find your flow with it. And you might need to schedule space. I did. If you're not used to having space in your life, what will happen is the moment you start to have space, it gets filled up with tasks, which doesn't give you breathing room, which doesn't give you time to process and to expand out. And that when you're expanded and you're that energy, like big and open and receiving, everything is flowing more easily. This the flows we're talking about. When you are like this to this to this to this to this to this, and so scheduled and so tight, then most people, not all people, most people will start to contract, and then less things come with ease. You have to start using a lot more force and energy for everything. So I used to schedule in space. So it started with literally just 10 minutes. So I would schedule 10 minutes where I wasn't allowed to do anything for my business, for my kids, for whatever. I could choose to go walk with the earth. I could choose to read a book or just like lie there and just breathe, which often that's what I did. And then it extended to 20 minutes and then 30 minutes, and then it was an hour a day. So I do an hour a day of space that's just for me, just nurturing for me or really fun for me. And then, not all the time because it's not a structure, but one day a week, I just take a day, kind of day off. But that doesn't mean I don't do anything. Again, I'm a full-time mom. You don't get a day off. I have a kid. He needs food. He needs assistance with a lot of stuff. Um, but that day, because I've scheduled it in and I'm aware of like my commitment to space, the things that show up that day are really generative and spacious. So that might be the day that I'm like, let's order out for dinner, or we'll do an easy dinner, you know? I'll read. Sometimes something might come up for work, but it's like just so joyful and fun that it doesn't feel like I'm working, and I'll just do it for a little bit and then let it go and then move on to all the other nurturing, amazing things. That was a game changer for me when I could finally get to that place. It took me a while. But when I could finally get to that place, I noticed everything started to flow with a lot more ease in my life. And then those days where I was back to back and go, 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 I had so much fuel and fire for it. And I was having so much fun that it didn't have that adrenaline. It didn't have that surviving mode that has led to burnout. So again, this is a very huge topic, and I've given you quite a bit in this podcast. You actually might need to re-listen to it, jot some stuff down, but play with that. So start to get a sense of your whole life as your business, okay? Make categories of all the things, and then break down what's in the categories. Like, what does that involve? What can you offload? What is actually not even required that you think is required? You could do that too. Cross out some stuff. Like I used to think certain things were like so important, and then I'm like, but is it important to do that every week? Is it really? I don't think it is. So I stopped doing it. Give yourself space, start scheduling in space for you, and that is going to help you declutter your mind, declutter your world. And I do highly recommend you discovering something called the Access Bars. If you haven't already, it is a hands-on technique. There's these 32 points on your head. Someone will gently touch them, and it literally clears out your mind, all these stuck energies. It like lifts for me, it like lifts the weight of the world off my shoulders. I personally do it once a week. Again, it's a system, so there are weeks where it's not perfect and I am not able to coordinate with the person I swap with. But it really will create a sense of peace and receiving in your life like nothing else I've ever experienced. Um, this is the beginning, the platform. This is the beginning of you creating the platform beyond burnout, where you can be parenting and you could still have all the things that you'd like to do. So create all the things that you would like to create. However, you won't be doing it from that hustle, the adrenaline overload, that place that leads to burnout. Let me know in the comments. Would you like more series like this, more on parenting, more series on other things? This was really fun, and I'm super grateful for you listening and sharing this with your friends. Your support is greatly appreciated. So we'll catch you in the next episode of the Curious Universe podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?